Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode with Jack and Marcel, and together with Beazy. And today we have an amazing guest, Emily, a professional parkour photographer, if I can say that. And yeah, Emily, just introduce about yourself and yeah, what's your style to your audience, to our audience.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I have been shooting parkour and free running for over 10 years. It's a fairly new sport. It's obviously been around much longer than that, but um, yeah, I got into it in early on, and I've been traveling the world with these professional athletes, and it's been an amazing time. But I've done photography before that as well.
Yes, how did you get into the niche of free running or of parkouring? How did it start for you?
Yeah, so I did gymnastics when I was 3 years old, and I did that for 12 years, and I did springboard diving in college, and so I've always been kind of active. And actually, I answered a Craigslist ad, and they were looking for someone to help with an extreme sports TV show, and I always had a soft spot for extreme sports, and it happened to be for the MTV Parkour Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I was in LA at the time, and I was new to LA. I grew up in California, Northern California, but I came down there to kind of broaden my work and my clientele. And so I immediately kind of gotten thrown into this world of the top athletes at the time. And they were all coming in from Europe and different places to participate in this show. And that's how I started meeting the athletes. It was quite easily fell into my lap.
Interesting. And yeah, like for us, it was when we saw your portfolio, it was interesting to see that your composition is a combination of architecture or along with the people in the perfect moment. So how do you nail that? What is important in composition when you're taking a picture?
Absolutely. I think there's two aspects of it. There's kind of the journalistic photographer who is seeing the world. You see the world differently when you do photography. You're looking at something completely different than what other people do. And I think your style plays a part in that. I feel I do that as well, just with my background with photography, but I get to take on the way a parkour free runner now looks at the world. Mm-hmm. And it was so interesting, especially in the beginning, to walk around with them and see how they look at something, because they're looking at what they can jump off of or land on or move to or climb. And so it was really cool because it adds this element to my photography. And so I'm, fitting in visually what composes, and we're kind of working together in this beautiful little dance to make the image come alive and to use the composition correctly, or not correctly, there's no wrong or right way, but to use it. And then I think also too the travel aspect comes in, and I want to show where I am.
Sure. This is what we saw, like it's not only featuring the artist but also where it's happening. So yeah, this is why we had the question. But have you ever broken your camera?
Yes. But I don't think ever with parkour. I've broken my camera a couple times. Yeah, sometimes just falling off the shoulder.
Yeah.
Twice I've broken a lens and a camera 2 separate times, from opening up the back of a rented truck or a rented car and the backpack falls out. It's like full of stuff.
Yeah.
Even inside the bags. I'm trying to think if I ruined it. But no, I've been very lucky with, no one's hit me. I've I've seen a GoPro fall from someone's mouth down about like 10 stories and just come apart, but that wasn't me.
Luckily.
Yeah.
Because particularly in your Instagram, I saw one picture where the free runner was jumping very close to your camera, and you had a POV picture of like how you shot the picture and then the end result as well. When I saw that, I was like, okay, that is pretty close.
Yes. And so I know exactly what you're talking about. And that is with a particular athlete. His name's Daniel Elabaka, and he has been doing it. That was actually one of the first free runners that I shot when I was on the TV show. And he is amazing. And the body control that he has, so the trust that I have with him is I've been very fortunate to work with top athletes. I do not recommend go out with anyone and just see how close you can get, because that can be very dangerous very quickly. But, you know, I do get to know the athletes and trust them. And yeah, I'll never forget, we were at the pier and he was doing a front flip off into the sands and I was filming, and I just, you know, I kind of stay in one spot so if they can avoid me, if they, you know, and he kind of rolled past my shoulder and it didn't hurt, but I was like, you hit me, like you could have avoided me and you hit me, but no, nothing. Yeah, I've been very fortunate with that.
Yeah, it really sounds
sadly, no stories.
Yeah, but it really sounds like you found your passion with the style of photography you're doing now. Can I ask you, what did you shoot before, or how did you start it, or how did you get into photography?
Absolutely. It was a quick journey, luckily. I always did it for fun growing up as a kid. I took it in high school. We had a darkroom class in high school or junior high, and then I took a digital class in high school. And then in 2001, I went to San Jose State, and it was actually my mom's suggestion. I was 17. I didn't really know
Thank you, Mom.
anything about life. And she said, you like photography and you like writing. Why don't you do photojournalism? I signed up for that as my major. I actually hated both of it. At the time, it was very fine art, darkroom stuff. And I felt like I needed to make a living, and I didn't see how I could have done that. And then journalism was, you know, not the type of journalism that we kind of, the social stuff we have today. It was a little bit, it's old school. It was a very turning point, I think, 2001. The teachers were learning digital photography to teach. And like I said, I was on the diving team, and I happened to walk onto my diving the diving well on a Saturday, and there was a huge photo shoot going on for the Monterey Bay Aquarium at the bottom of the pool, because the pool is so deep. So there was this huge crew of people, and there was, you know, models and art directors and 2 underwater photographers, and they completely adopted me. I was like, hey guys, what is this? I want to know more. And you know, I stayed the whole day on the set, and I really fell in love with commercial photography. So I started assisting commercial photographers, and I dropped out of college to do this because I was learning more. You know, all the shoots that I did, and I was making money. I only did one film shoot. Everything else was digital. So I was learning the digital aspect with them. And I really fell in love with digital photography. With commercial photography. And everything I was learning, I applied to my friends, and all my friends were in bands.
Okay.
That kind of fits, right?
So, and this was when MySpace was big. So we were putting all the photos up on MySpace, and more bands and more people started to contact me. And honestly, that's how my career kind of grew in the beginning, and with bands and musicians, and I would tour with them and shoot album covers. And like I said, I think that's also what brought me to LA. But when this opportunity for parkour came up, I went with that.
Yeah. That sounds really cool. Yeah, you are raised in California, but you are living in Frankfurt now, or? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. How did that change come? Did you always want to move to Germany, or was it for the job, or why did you move here?
Of course, it was for a man, you know.
Okay. Because I imagine California is super nice as well. This is why I was asking.
California is great and has amazing weather. And my family's there, and I do love it. Germany has some amazing benefits, especially for an American, you know. But I guess to tell the story, I was shooting parkour, and I met a professional athlete, parkour athlete, in Los Angeles, who actually is from here.
Okay.
And we traveled the world together for 5 years, and then we decided to start a family. And so last year we had our daughter Frida in Frankfurt.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
And so we made that home base. Yeah. So that's how I came to Frankfurt.
All right. Yeah. One other thing I want to ask you is like when you take picture, like what kind of equipment do you use, and how does your shoot look like? How many shots do you take in one session?
Oh my goodness.
Because I
A
can
lot.
imagine when you shoot like this, you have to shoot in bursts or something because it's a lot of quick movement going on. Or do you just really wait for 1 second and take a single shot, or how are you doing it?
It depends on the move, on the situation. Okay, you want me to answer which question first? Okay, let me go back. I'll start with my equipment. I've used Canon pretty much the whole time. I think since I'm 36 now, and I think when I was 21, I think I was 21, I had a Nikon. By 23, I switched to the Canon 5D.
Okay.
Yeah, when that had been out for maybe a year or so. And I have actually shot with all versions of the Canon 5D. So I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe I've shot out every single shutter
Okay.
of these cameras. So sometimes I would every year take my camera in, get a new shutter, and yeah, I used to shoot a lot. Now I haven't replaced this the Mark IV because I'm not doing as much shooting, but yeah, I've been that's the 5D.
Yeah, it's an amazing camera. I also worked with this camera a few times. I love it. It's amazing.
I love it. It's not too big, but makes beautiful images, and each version has gotten better and better, and the video is also great. And I guess I'm so used to it now. Now you really have a relationship with your camera.
Definitely. You know where all the buttons are without thinking about it, and you can just use it with only muscle memory. So
Yeah. Do you have like a loyalty to it too?
Definitely. I also changed all the buttons on my camera, so it's like I know where everything is, so it's like completely mine. And when I have another one, it's always like, oh, that's weird. Where can I find everything? And with my camera, I don't have to go from the eye. I can change everything without thinking about it. So it's definitely kind of a relationship. Yeah, we know
it's
each other.
It's very intimate.
But right now, the touchscreen mirrorless cameras or touchscreen cameras are kind of breaking that pattern, because like you kind of take it out and change settings and then take the picture. But yeah, of course, with the 5D or when I started, I had a 7D Mark II, and I still don't even think about where the buttons are. I immediately know in my mind. I don't have to even move it from my eye. Keep fiddling around, changing the settings. But now definitely,
you just think you need a lower shutter speed, and bam, it's already done. You're like, okay, nice.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, having the 5D 4D. I mean, I feel like I just had a new partner who had a makeover or something. 3 different times, but. For a while, I was thinking about changing to Sony. And, I was kind of writing down my thoughts, and it was like a breakup letter, like it was almost like I considered breaking up with Canon, and, and it's not that I don't love you, but I just think maybe, but I actually didn't do it in the end. And also too, the lenses, you've invested into these things, and so yeah, to change that as well, or do you not? Do you try to make it mesh? But no, I've stayed with Canon, and I'm very happy with that.
Awesome. And what time do you normally shoot, or what light conditions are favorable for your style?
I mean, of course, the nice light coming up is great. The sunset and the sunrise.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm dealing with so much sky, I guess. Usually when I'm trying to isolate an athlete or not deal with too many shadows because I have other buildings or other things in the way. So if there's something that I really want to get, like my favorite shots that I've seen have always been in sunset or sunrise. And, it's just sometimes it's just too hot, depending on where locations we are for the athletes. and they can't, shoot. It's not like a model necessarily. Like they can't shoot all day long, or sometimes they're shooting video.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm shooting alongside of that. So we'll, take a break in the middle of the day, go get lunch, go cool down, go somewhere else, wait for it. So it kind of works that way. It's maybe if we're doing a real shoot, getting up in the morning with the sunrise, getting that good light, taking a break in the middle of the day, going out again before sunset.
Awesome. And how are you doing during the shoot? Are you running along with the athletes, or are you calm in a position, just observing what you want and capture the moment?
Or maybe do the artists know what they want before, or how is the composition there? How do you do it?
So what can happen is, one of the easiest ways I would say is for me to find my frame that I like, so we're in a certain setting and I see something and I can gauge, where something can be done. And I'll actually take a blank shot of what I like. So I'll set up with the architecture or whatnot. And then I'll show it to the athlete and say, hey, I really like this frame. Is there something you can do from here to here or, inside this frame even, give them kind of the parameters. I have a little rule that I allow myself to break. And I think I took it from skateboarding when I shot before, is like, you want to see the takeoff and the landing. So you want to understand in the picture, even if they're up in the air, what's happening, or climbing if they're going somewhere, like, without it being shown, what's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
And so from there, the athlete can usually tell me what is possible, what's not. And I might have a preference of, can you do something where you're upside down, or can you, face this way? And we kind of adjust towards that.
Okay.
Helping them if they need to like get higher, or, I can go lower and things like this. That is usually the easiest and, the quickest way to get a shot. But I also just love having them go to the spot and do their thing, and I'm observing and kind of journalistically finding something, and as they're moving the way they want to, I can kind of find these things around them. And I think that's fun. It's like a game to me, and I have like the 70 to 200, like I call my sniper lens. So it's just like, I'm like, okay. And when I find the shot that I really want, I can play on just getting that one shot, one and done, because I know the moment. But there are other tricks where I'm not sure where the moment really is the best. And so that's when the burst mode can really come in.
I can imagine these athletes are all moving really fast. So you really have to be fast in capturing all of that. So I think burst is sometimes really helping. Yeah. But I know it from myself when I shoot a lot afterwards, always on the computer, I'm like, oh my gosh, which picture choose from it? And I don't know. So everything has its benefits, or
good and bad. Yeah.
Yes, good and bad. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like for the first maybe 10 years, sounds like a long time, but it is, of editing, it took me days to edit. Yeah. Like days. Like I would shoot something, I would shoot too much, and I would go home and I'd be like, oh, I'm editing for 3 days. And then all of a sudden, I can edit anything in a night. I don't know what happened. It was just like my brain, it wasn't a gradual thing. It went from 3 days to like an hour in no time. I don't know if you guys...
So you started getting used to it.
Yeah. And thank goodness, because that was very grueling for 10 years.
And which editing software do you use?
Adobe Lightroom.
Lightroom, yeah.
And for the videos, you also edit them yourself, or do you have a cutter, or do you do everything on your own?
It depends. I'm not very strong in editing. I have done stuff. I worked a lot with Tastemade, and so I would do that, and I would help. So Jason Paul is my partner, and he's also the free runner, but he also is really good. He started a vlog, and I helped him with that, and he's really great at editing too. So I always have someone near me to be like, hey, can you help me with this? Or and I've also worked with other editors too. I think that's fun too, just for time. Yeah. But I would usually use Premiere. Yeah.
Yeah, we both of us also thinking about getting into video, but the cutting and editing is like a lot of work. So we are always interested how other artists are doing it.
Yeah.
If they cut it on their own or if they have somebody. Because I think when you do everything on your own, it's like really a lot of work you have to do there. And also I think it's better to focus on one thing at a time. So maybe focus on shooting and let somebody else focus on the cutting. So you can get the best result out of it, you know?
Yeah, it's a different thing, right? Like I also, when I recently started a YouTube channel and I wanted to do videos. I was learning the software as well. And of course, like shooting takes time, but editing takes a lot of time. And then when you're not happy about it, we can go back and shoot something else and come back. But in your case, like you have to know what you want in your video, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, it took me 10 years to become a fast editor of my own photography. I know it's another 10 years of being a slow cutter, you know, in order to get that going again. So that's a little bit daunting,
but that's the price you pay, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, and I think it's true with anything, right? Like it's with 10,000 hours or putting your time into something. But it's possible. Anything's possible, but...
Yeah, especially everything you repeat over and over again, you get better really fast. And I think it's a nice feeling.
Yeah. I think it's great, especially with the 5D and all cameras today. Like you can take amazing photos and video. So that was really nice.
Sure. And what would you advise for a beginner who want to take a picture similar in parkour? What gadget do they have to have? Like, do they need to have an expensive camera, or can they also do it with an inexpensive basic camera?
It's tricky with parkour because you really do need the speed, the shutter speed to freeze action. I mean, just the motion blur. I mean, a lot of times it's even everything, the body's in focus. It's just the feet, or just the hands because it's just moving faster. Mm-hmm. So if you can get a camera with a fast shutter speed, that is really important. Mm-hmm. And then of course you need a lot of light and to add to that.
So
but you can do a lot of stuff.
A full frame sensor is helping to get. A full frame sensor is helping to get the fast shutter and to get the light, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a little, it is, usually it's like shoot with whatever camera is available, whatever you got. And that still is true. But there is something, I think that is why I haven't switched because I'm so comfortable with my Canon, the 5D. But even like the GoPros, I think if, you really don't have the money and you want to shoot and you kind of want to see if this is something you do. I mean, I don't think there's any shame of putting it on burst mode and going through and you're learning the editing, you're learning the timing, you're learning how to set up the shot.
Sure.
If you can't do that. So I think, like that is a great place to start if you don't have your hands on a DSLR that.
Yeah, even the smartphones these days have a lot of burst modes in it. Like an iPhone or something, you can even shoot like 100 pictures together or something. I was just curious if this would be a good tool for people who want to start into this field.
I mean, if you're shooting, yes, if that gets you going and if you were inspired, like I always have a rule, if there's a little voice in my head that goes, oh, you should shoot that, like don't ignore it, just shoot it. Mm-hmm. I personally I shoot a lot of video on my iPhone and I do shoot photos. I love like the Noma app right now. That's like my thing. But I haven't shot parkour with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm picky. I'm like, oh, if I'm going to shoot it, well, I need my good camera and I need this and that.
Which shutter speed are you usually using to freeze into action, or which range of shutter speed are you normally in when you shoot parkour?
I usually will test it, and it depends on the trick because each trick is different. And if you shoot like skateboarding or tricking or like parkour, like depending on the jump or if they're flipping, you want to be higher. I want to say like 1,000 or and then maybe like it depends on the light too. Yeah. I'm always I don't have a set thing. I'm kind of like what want to compromise. Do I want to go up in grain? Do I need more light? So I will actually try to get as low as I think I can get away with.
Yeah.
So that I can have my ISO as low
As
quality.
possible, yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't want to, and I don't want to have as big as an f-stop or, it's like I want a more shallow depth of field.
Yeah.
It depends on the shot. Yeah. So you told that you are a mother since a short time. How is this working with your job? So is it easier or is it harder now? Or just let us know.
It's so hard.
This is what I imagined.
No, we knew the answer, but we were just confirming with you.
Yeah, it is very hard. I will say, so Frida was born in August, and I had always wanted to do a book of my photography work, and I've always wanted to do an exhibition. And I think in the pure naivety, in November, I released the book and I did an exhibition with it for the release. And I feel like it was because of her, it's like, I have to do this. I have to do something. And being a mom helped me slow down a little bit, just enough to finish the book. I'd been working on it for 3 years. So, so that was kind of really nice. But there's been a couple shoots where people are like, hey, can you come shoot this? And I'm like, yes. And then I think about it and I'm like, no, I can't. Because you give so much when you're shooting.
Sure.
Much time. And she's 9 months now. So now she's getting a little bit older where I feel, but in the beginning she needed me all the time, pretty much every couple of hours. So.
And how has this affected your style? Because now we see a lot of motherhood pictures, really lovely motherhood pictures here.
Yeah, amazing baby photos on your profile. It's really cute, I have to say, really cute.
It's such a contrast. Yeah. I'm like, from being on top of buildings to like having a baby. Yes. I appreciate my audience of people who follow me who have stuck around. So I'm like, no, this is probably not what you signed up for, but here's another Frida photo. That's all I'm doing. But it's been nice to, still shoot, even if I'm not shooting parkour and I'm shooting for a job per se, and some things have come along. Like I do a lot of stuff with social media and, brands and stuff. So it's kind of cool and starting to do that more. I think we did say, let's see if we actually do it. We're like, okay, tomorrow's Sunday. No one is at, it's an abandoned business area. So we were thinking about going and shooting there, just Jason and I, and we'll bring Frida and see if we can get some shots. So I'm very lucky to have two muses I live with.
And what kind of projects are you working on right now?
Keeping my child alive. No, I am documenting my motherhood experience too, and trying to write that and do that stuff. I've said during this quarantine time, I want to put together all the photos that I have. I mean, can you imagine if if you couldn't shoot, like you have a lot of stuff to go. I have a lot of stuff I could go through. I would like to do that, but to be honest, I haven't done it. But in the parkour world too. So Jason has a company called Farang. They do like parkour clothing and they sell stuff, and so I help with that, the social media and the content as well. We're doing a little documentary, and we can go out and shoot things together. Quite easily, and we work really well together, which is really nice. Just being able to know and quickly do it. So it's been a while since it's like a full day shoot, type of thing. But we're able to do these little quick one-offs. And it usually just goes on to social media, but it's also kind of how we make our living. So.
Yeah, sure. But it's really nice that you have something where you can do or practice your passion even during these hard times where it's normally not easy to meet other people's. So I think it helps a lot just to do it even when it's not going on social, just for the fun and being creative and all the stuff. So I think that's really nice.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I feel very lucky.
What has been your favorite project you worked so far on? Or what's the project you like the most you worked so far on?
Good question.
Because we saw some amazing videos from you, like for Red Bull or something, which looked really amazing. So maybe there is more like that. So just
Yeah, I think one of my favorite one is we went out. We were in Dubai, and we were there for a couple of projects with Red Bull, and they said, "Hey, like if you want to shoot something," there was Jason and another Red Bull athlete out there. And so about an hour outside, there was these abandoned planes. One was like a car. I don't know if you ever saw the God of War with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
So you like the real life person. They have this was like an abandoned Russian cargo plane that was just dropped out in the middle of the desert, and it was like somehow linked to one of his companies. So, but it just is sitting there. So we drove out to there and we scouted it. I remember the first day, like really early in the morning. And then we drove back out again and we shot there. And it was just such a cool combination of people flipping on planes and just this huge thing. I mean, it's just Jason up on the wing and it's coming apart. And I think there's something, I love those photos. It was a little risky. We weren't supposed to be there. I always kind of like that element of naughtiness, I guess. That was exciting. There was another plane that I shot as well of him jumping off, a little propeller plane, and it won runner-up or something or was a semi-finalist for the Red Bull Illume.
And how was the pressure like working with Red Bull? Because this is one of the huge companies, and I'm sure there would be a lot of pressure from the photographer's side. And how was it for you, and how did you handle it?
That one was no pressure because it was just like, do you want to shoot something? Go shoot it, you know. And it was just the three of us, so they didn't even come along. I've been along on Jason's other shoots, and I owe so much to Red Bull, and I've done tons of shoots with them, and most of them have not been pressure, but even the big ones, I feel like they're kind of they always have another photographer they hire, like an official Red Bull photographer, and it's kind of like, cool, you're the girl. I kind of become the girlfriend's photographer. But I'm not mad at it. And I kind of always get these silent victories when I'm like, ooh, they chose my photo for the thumbnail. Or like, they used my photo for this. So I don't let it bother me. I mean, again, I've been doing it for so long. I think in my youth that would have been, because it is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You're right, you know, and I don't necessarily want that pressure on it. So it, by having more photographers there, I'm more at ease to do stuff. Yeah, it's intense. I thought about really pursuing the photography thing in for Red Bull, but I think it doesn't fit my lifestyle as much as I want to shoot and travel. Like the people that I've known, I mean, they're constantly working so hard, and they're amazing what they do, and but it's intense, you know?
Yeah.
Can imagine.
So
awesome. And have you ever like missed a special moment during the photography, during the shoot, that you wish, or like you never got the picture that you wanted? Has there been any moment, or is it a frequent thing that happens during shoot?
Oh, do you always like look at photos and be like, if I only had this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I always think, isn't there a Richard Avedon photo where the woman with the elephant, and he was like, it's a beautiful photo. And he's just like, if the scarf was only going here. I feel like I have that probably on all my photos. There's probably something, I'm trying to think of if there's one in particular, but no, I know the feeling. I don't think so much with parkour.
Okay.
I shot Neil Young like one-on-one, and his poncho was twisted at the collar. And that kills me. And I'm like, why did I not? I was too nervous and I overlooked it, and it was just him and I, and super intimidating. And I'm so proud. But honestly, when I look at the photos, I just think, oh, why did I not change his collar? So I have those moments. Yes.
Yeah, but I think that's normal somehow. I don't know. I shot for a car company lately, and then we saw that from the door, just the opener was like 2 millimeters opened, and we did not see it during shooting. And at post-processing, I was like, damn, how could you not see that? Because it just doesn't look clean. And now it's a lot of work in editing to make it look right. But I think during shooting, especially when you have like fast scenes moving on, it's really hard to focus on all the small things, right?
Yeah. It is. I mean, I think that's why when you have those huge commercial sets, there's a lot of people to help and everything. So, things get overlooked. And it's hard. It's hard to, no one, most of the time, no one would notice but you, right? You're
exactly. Yeah. Kind of cringe and then feel like, okay, now have to settle down with this or just delete the picture.
Yeah, or do it again somehow.
Yeah. Or sometimes just give it some time. I've done shoots before where I'm like, so sometimes Jason and I will, especially for like social media gigs, like a company will hire us and send him clothing or whatever, shoes, and we'll go out and shoot and then give them the photos and they'll choose and he'll post them. And sometimes we'll go out and we're like, we didn't get anything good, like
I know the feeling.
That's the worst feeling ever. Yeah.
It's like, that's the worst day, and then we'll like send the stuff and then we'll look at it later and we're like, actually, we got some really good stuff. Like, what, so sometimes you can be critical of yourself and you just need that space from it.
Sure.
Maybe to forget how good it could have been, or how great the location or the setting was, and then you see it on its own again, and it helps make you feel a little bit better.
And I always think, when I had a situation, I learned a lot from it, because I came home, let's say, with 50 pictures which did not work, but I knew the next time why they did not work, and I can do it better on the next shoot.
Sure.
So even when I came home with no good picture, I always learned what was my mistake, and I could avoid it next time. So I think it's the same for you, right?
Yeah, sometimes I just don't know. I think sometimes I think I've just come to realize like you can't make good art every day, especially when you're working, I remember I was shooting at a trampoline park with a talented athlete and who's also a great artist. That's always nice. And we were shooting and we're doing stuff, and I knew the client would be happy, but I just kind of looked at each other like, sometimes you just can't make great art every day. It's difficult,
Sure. Sure.
But like it works for the job, or it works for the purpose, or it's stuff, and your standards, change. Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
I had a similar.
Continue.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, please continue.
I was just thinking, we went to New York last year, and we were at Oculus, the Ground Zero, and I wanted to shoot something, but honestly, if I felt like, why am I shooting this? It's just another flip or another jump. I don't need this, but I shot it anyways. I did it, and I was like, you know what? It's because even though it's the same, I think it's the same thing over and over again. It's new, and it's a new scenario, and it's. I needed to capture that, so you kind of have to move in. I don't know where I was going with that exactly, but it was just kind of that reminder of like you have to fight against your own feelings sometimes to really be happy with it, and now I have those memories, and I wouldn't have had those if not before.
And what advice would you give for beginners?
For people starting out in the fields.
Yeah. I think shooting like crazy, just going out with your camera, like really it's the simplest thing. But if you're not excited, like I was obsessed in the beginning, I mean, and I was thinking about this last night too. It's just like, it really is a muscle. I don't know if you guys feel like that, but during this quarantine, we had Jason's brother came over and his girlfriend, and we're doing yoga every day, and it felt great. And then we kind of, things come up and we forget a day and another day. And then we did yoga. We're like, oh, how many days has it been since we've done this? Like 3 days, and you could feel it. And sometimes I feel like that with photography. It is truly a muscle. I have to exercise it every day. And I know when I get back on it, like it's going to be a process to kind of regain that strength. So if you can shoot every day, even if it's just a little bit,
yeah,
it's like working out.
Sure. And would you go back to parkour after taking this break with your daughter? Would you go back to taking parkour anytime soon?
Yes, I love it. I really do. I'm not done with it.
Awesome.
It's fun. It's exciting. I'm curious though how I feel. There is something that changes you because we were up on rooftops and doing dangerous stuff and being safe about it, but it was risky. I wonder how I will feel about it now, especially because of her, because she sees and she does.
Yeah.
So there is a mental thing that's
Sorry.
gonna have to.
We're just having an ambulance pass by.
Yeah.
Sure. Gonna mess with the audio.
That's Saturday.
Okay, I think we are safe now.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. I
No,
thought
no.
anyway, this will kind of mess with the audio a lot.
Yeah.
All right, then let's continue. If you could do anything different, what would it be? So if you could
Anything
start over
different?
again, would you do anything different, or would you do it
Oh
again? Or...
Gosh.
I know it's a hard question, but
It's a
I
deep-
always like to
it's-
ask it.
Some deep stuff
This
there.
loaded question. There's so many things. Where to begin? I mean, yes and no. Like, I'm so happy to where I ended up. But yeah, I learned so many things. Well, it's like you said, you know what you did wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like I've learned the hard way
Failure is
so
the
many
best teacher.
times.
Failure is the
Sorry?
best. Failure is the best teacher.
Yeah, it is. It really is. What would I do differently? I think I would not be as hard on myself, and I would appreciate in the moment what I was doing. I feel I have a tendency to want the next big thing, and then looking back, I'm like, oh, that was a great time. If I could have just enjoyed it a little bit more,
Sure.
I think that's what I would do differently. Maybe hire a business partner to put with my.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know that for me it's exactly the same. Often when it's happening, it doesn't feel that special like it is. And half a year later, you realize this was really special and you should appreciate it somehow. And why not do it in the present? But it's something I'm practicing myself as well, especially in this world which is moving all the time with all the distraction. Just to stay in the present and enjoy the moment how it is, it's kind of difficult.
So difficult.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did yoga help you to get better in staying in the moment? Because I'm thinking about starting with yoga. I just need some motivation.
I feel like I'm not qualified to say yes, but I think it does help. I think it will help.
Yeah.
And meditation, I think as well, to kind of just slow you down.
Yes.
Corona will help as well with that, just slow down.
Same for me. In the beginning, it was like, okay, now everything is closed. It's weird. 3 weeks later, I was like, okay, it's kind of nice. No distraction. Everything is slowed down. I can focus on everything I want. So
No, people started appreciating a lot of little things during this time. They kind of understood the value of things that's happening around them these days. Because during regular life, there's a lot of chaos and people get distracted with doing different things. And this really allowed people to focus on the things that they want to do.
There's always something good in it, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm so thankful for, it's given me time to be like, wow, all this stuff that I've done, I'm so happy I did that. And I appreciate that I've done that. So I think it'll help me moving forward to kind of appreciate where I am,
Sure.
And any upcoming projects for now? Anything planned for this year, or did you lose any trips, or still planning any trips?
Yeah, we lost all our trips. Like I said, we were supposed to be in Asia till so yeah, we went to Bangkok in January and we were supposed to come home July 5th. And we're supposed to be in Thailand and Japan and Hawaii.
Okay.
And then make our way back. And 2 weeks into that trip, Wuhan was shutting down.
Yeah.
And we got on a plane and came back.
Damn. Okay.
So we've been dealing with this all year, and we knew because one of our friends is a data analysis. So when we decided to fly back home, he said, "Okay, there's already cases in Germany. What's happening in Wuhan could happen here." And we were like, "We know. We would rather be home than not." And so yeah, we kind of came home and prepared, and then the lockdown ended up happening a couple months later.
Okay.
And there was I don't think I had any shoots planned just because with Frida, but Jason had a couple of shoots and they were all canceled. Yeah.
How is the situation right now in Frankfurt? Is it getting normal, or because in Berlin lately it's getting like more normal? Restaurants are opening again. I think in a few weeks you can meet up with up to 500 people again for like little feasts or something. How is it going in Frankfurt?
Yeah, I think it's going similar. It's slowly you can go to restaurants and things are opening up, and you just have to wear masks when you go inside establishments. Yeah, I think it feels like it's happening. It's getting back to, I don't want to say normal, but
normal.
Normal. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're grateful that it's getting a bit better now, especially as photographer. I don't know, you have to go out, you have to create content and all of this stuff. So I think it was nice to have a break, but it's also nice to continue now again, hopefully for the rest of the year. Let's see how this ends, but I try to stay positive as much as I can.
Yeah. That's all you can do, right? Yeah.
Definitely. And Emily, where can people find your work apart from Instagram?
I have a website. So it's ediphotoeye.com. So I have my portfolio there, and it's so weird to have a website, I feel like, but I know I always want to change it. But yeah, that's where you can find my work. And then I also have a book of my photography from the past 10 years. So like it's like 100 pages and I think 80 photos. Yeah. So yeah, you can get that through Blurb. I'm selling that as well if you want the physical version. And you can also look at it on Blurb. You can scroll through the whole thing so you can see all the photos there as well.
Awesome.
If you don't want to buy it.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure to have you part of Beazy today, our podcast.
Yeah, it was really nice to have you here. Also, thank you for sharing all the information.
Very inspiring,
Do you want to say something at the end? Maybe a shout out for a friend or some promotion for yourself or
for Frida.
Thank you for having me. If you have any questions about shooting parkour, I'm happy to help and answer them. I think it's a really fun thing to shoot. And it's such a positive community. Like, thank you to the parkour community for being like so welcoming and open, and it's a really cool place. So I think it's
Yeah,
I see the smile on your face. I think it's really your passion and you're really enjoying it.
It is, yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Then that's it from us, from the Beazy Podcast, this time with Emily.
Thank you so much, Emily. And reach out to Emily if you have any questions regarding parkour.
Make sure to check out her work.
And also really cute Frida pictures of filled in her profile. So make sure to drop in and give some love. And we'll meet you guys with another podcast really soon. Bye-bye.
Adios.